You almost look like you're not moving there. Are we living?
No,
are we in the land of the living here?
So I got through Messenger. Somebody told me, so the last couple of nights here on the Joe and Joe show, I've had a face like this when we start.
All right.
So tonight I thought I'd do the opposite direction and go, "Hi, everybody." So there you go.
Well, you could have kept going because you have to tell
Joe
people
Rayo,
who you are.
Joe Rayo, Fios One News, Lower Hudson Valley, and he is
Joe Chaffee, Fios One News, Long Island and New Jersey. Trisha Cucciaro, hi, and say hi to Robert for me. I haven't seen you guys in ages, and we don't live that far apart either. So I may drop in one day, uninvited. Okay. All right. So evening is here. It's 9:25 Eastern Time. In case you're watching this later, just like Joe and I, we're all dated, and we've got a few interesting things going on, Mr. Rayo. First off, I think we probably should look, right in our own neighborhood, because well, as soon as I can find it, where'd it go? I need the window. Why is my window not open? Okay.
Looking in the neighborhood. Do we have a trolley?
Hang on. No. I'm trying to find where the where is it?
I don't know. What are you looking for?
I got to open the window so I can bring up the map, and I can't seem to find it. Okay. All right, you know what? Let's do it a different way. We've got some really kind of nutty weather going on today with in New England in particular, in southeastern New England. Now they've taken out the marginal risk, but they had 2 confirmed tornadoes in southeastern New England.
Absolutely, and of course a big day in New England because this is opening day for the World Series. I know it's the great summer pastime, and I just had a look, Joe, at the game in progress as we are recording this. And just about everybody at Fenway Park in Boston is bundled up as if they were going to a Patriots game and not a Red Sox game. As this is, I can't,
Well, they're getting the backside. Let me bring up. I got the window working again, so let me bring up the radar.
It would have been interesting if I've been yelling and screaming for years that they shouldn't have World Series games at this late in the season at night.
Oh, it's gotten out of control.
But the thing is, if they had played Game 1 today in the afternoon, it would have been most interesting because, again, as you just mentioned, strong to severe thunderstorms in especially eastern New England, and even a couple of tornado sightings. One, I believe, not too far from
northeastern Rhode Island.
In northeastern Rhode Island, there was a funnel cloud or a tornado that was imaged from near Taunton, Massachusetts, which is where the National Weather Service used to be based. They're not there anymore. They're in some other part of Massachusetts, but still, it was an interesting afternoon, and apparently all of that now has moved away enough so that they're able to play baseball in.
Well, there's another band of showers to their west if it holds together, but all of this is part of a developing low. They're going to have. I know it's not breaking news unless it's on CNN, but it's going to snow in Maine tonight, and they actually have this is the season's first winter storm warnings up for the Northeast, and Maine qualifies.
Yep.
4 to 8 inches in this yellow band here in central Maine. If you want to, I guess it depends on how you look at Maine. But if we're looking east-west,
right.
It's the central part of the state, because we could also look north-south and call that the central part of the state.
Right.
But, 4 to 8 inches there, up to Caribou 3, Presque Isle 4, Holton 5, Danforth 4, and then it tails off less than an inch at Bangor, and not much going on along the coast. But, this is a significant development in that we're toward the end of October, getting toward the end of October, we're starting to get closer and closer every day to wintertime,
right?
And the atmosphere is revving up to some degree.
And there has been some speculation about the upcoming weekend event and whether or not there may be any snowflakes falling, maybe not necessarily in the immediate tri-state area, but maybe in places that are up to the north and west in the elevated areas.
Yeah, elevation driven, I think probably.
Yeah.
Up.
Yeah.
We'll get to that in a second. I'll pull the map up. The other thing I wanted to just touch upon is Hurricane Willa, which has moved inland just in the last hour or two, which is coming ashore east of Mazatlan, and all that moisture. A lot of that's going to get rung up in the mountains, but if you look carefully at the loop, the eye was very well defined right up until the time of landfall. Came ashore as a Category 3 after peaking out as a 5 yesterday. And statistically, by the way, Joe, by 2 days, I believe it is, Hurricane Kenna in 2002 was a Category 5 hurricane on October the 25th. So that's the latest. So this and Patricia are the two latest Category 5 hurricanes that we've seen, but Kenna is the latest on the Pacific side. But a lot of the moisture is going to get wrung out in the mountains, but some of it's going to survive and get into Texas, and that sets the table up for our next weather system. And one of the problems, Joe, I think, is the fact that just trying to work out the timing with this, because if it gets in here Friday night, it might be out of here, so that Sunday might not be too bad. But there are models that suggest that may not be the case, that it'll come in more like towards Saturday morning, and that it would rain most of Sunday. And I'm not sure which way to go with this.
You see, here we go with the opening shot of agita season, as I call it.
Right.
As we move now into the late fall and winter, and especially in the wintertime when we start trying to figure out, exactly what we're going to get in terms of snow. When is the snow going to arrive, and all that. And then you start getting the variations on all of these models: the American model, the Canadian model, the European. They all have their own say as to when snow will arrive and how much it's going to get. So again, we're just backing it up now a little bit into October, late October. Too warm for snow for the most part, but still, people want to do things this weekend, and they want to know. When is the rain going to arrive? And in the last 24 hours, I've been seeing rain arrive as quickly as Friday evening.
Well, here's the NAM. This is the last NAM, which actually was a little bit slower than the prior one. So it brings it to about the doorstep of New York City by 8 o'clock, and then into southern New England by, this is 2 a.m. Saturday, which is as far out as it goes.
Right.
I think the issue is, in my view, looking at this, Joe, the pressure gradient is very tight. You've got a strong high that's building up into northern Maine. So there should be a fair amount of gales here, even though the storm itself, the low, is not really all that strong. But the gradient, I think, will be tight enough that we could see gusts of 40 or maybe even 50 just off the New Jersey and South Shore of Long Island. Late Friday night, early Saturday. But, if it gets in early, it gets out early. And the alternative is that it gets in later, which we get into the gradient. It just takes a little longer. If it does get in later, that's better for the coastal flooding. It'll be less.
Right.
Okay, so,
right.
You kind of want to root for that. But that's a pretty tight gradient here on the GFS. But the GFS doesn't bring the rain in until probably, daybreak Saturday or a little bit before that.
In all the years that I've been forecasting, I've been doing this for quite some time, it always seems to me like the last week or the last 10 days of October, we always get, this is like the opening shot, the opening salvo, the first round of storminess in terms of wind and in terms of rain, and we're seeing that here. And again, there's that magic date, October 29th, which back in 2011 brought an unusual early snowfall to parts of the Hudson Valley, and I think parts of northern New Jersey too. I think even New York City saw some snow with that. And then a year later we had Sandy on October 29th, October 30th, 31st, the Halloween storm, the perfect storm in 1991.
Right.
So it always seems like when we get toward the end of October, we see something like this. And
I think a lot has to do with the transitioning of the atmosphere from summer to winter.
Yeah.
And you're getting the hurricane season winding down. You're sort of getting the front end of one season, the back end of another. And this is probably, in terms of the calendar, sort of the perfect conflict time.
Right.
And if you jump 6 months from now, and you're talking, you get into April, you have the same thing in reverse, and that usually kicks off severe storm season.
Right.
Which, by the way, just a quick statistic on that. I saw this a little earlier. I forgot where I saw it. I usually try to remember to give credit, but if I remember tomorrow, I will. Nationwide, 1,200 tornadoes is the average. And this year, only 971. Something like 970 or 971, not counting the 2 from today.
Right.
So the amount of tornadic activity is down nationwide by almost 25%. Yet the amount of tornadic activity in the Northeast this year was, after you look at the numbers, they're probably going to wind up being above average.
Oh yeah. Well, let's mid-May we had the 4 tornadoes in the Hudson Valley, and we had, as you just mentioned, two tornadoes that occurred in New England, and there were a variety of others that we had. So yeah, it may have been down on a nationwide level, but in our part of the country, in our sector, way above what we normally would expect to see.
The whether it comes in fast or not, faster or slower, we are going to probably wind up with about 12 to 18 hours of some strong winds, and you can see the GFS has it more during the daytime on Saturday, but that red area, that's sustained winds of 40 knots plus just offshore, and gales are touching the coast during the day Saturday and into Saturday night before it pulls away. The problem is that the surface low kind of hangs back for some reason, at least on the GFS, and it keeps it kind of cloudy and rainy here for at least part of Sunday anyhow, before that low pulls out. And then it's got another system diving down that makes another low. This is for Monday night and Tuesday. And by the way, if you look on the lower right, it looks like it's spinning up some kind of tropical system there that ultimately that one absorbs. But nonetheless, there's some question as to whether there might be a second system to deal with later Monday night into Tuesday as low pressure develops along the East Coast. This very complex upper trough, Joe. There's a lot of pieces to this. You normally don't get two back-to-back that close, but there's a lot of pieces in the jet stream moving around, and frankly, I just think the models are as the forecasters are, having a real difficult time kind of resolving this. Cold shot, then here comes the first one, and then you got the second one behind it that just kind of dives right in. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well, and do you think also the remnants of Willa might have something to say about all this too? Tropical moisture getting involved with a potential East Coast storm at the start of the weekend. It doesn't spell a good weekend if you have anything planned out of doors on Saturday. I think we're both pretty well in agreement that at least we know that Saturday is not going to be a great day.
Right, Saturday is gone no matter what. I think it's a question of whether is Sunday winds up being dry because everything starts Friday night, right, or does it hold off till Saturday morning, in which case you could certainly see this linger into at least early Sunday afternoon. There was something else I wanted to say. I just lost my train of thought. Oh, I hate when that happens.
Where did that train go?
What was I going to say? Oh, well, it'll come to me. I'm just going to go up, let's say hi to everybody.
Okay.
And, Ernest and Julio Gallo is on. Look at that. I'm sorry. You probably get that all the time from anybody over the age of 50. Yeah. So, I'm sorry.
How come we don't see it so many? I mean, when we were growing up, there were so many different types of commercials that proliferated on television. Dog food commercials. I don't even remember the last time I saw a dog food commercial. And of course,
I have what is it? The blue. I don't have my dog anymore. He's gone. But the blue buffalo. I see those commercials.
I'm talking about like kennel ration or.
Oh well, all those. Yeah, you know what? Like Purina.
Yeah.
They've gone on to other things.
And Ernest and Julio Gallo, of course, the Gallo wines.
Yes.
And that's so Ernest Gallo. Yeah, he must back in the day, he probably would have gotten a lot of comments. Who else is here?
Rory Prager Brown is here.
Tom Carney. Oh, how's Art, Tom?
Oh boy, we're batting 1,000 tonight. Let's see. I'm just trying to think. Frank Martucci says, any coastal damage? I have the home 500 feet from the beach in Seaside Park. Look, I'm thinking the coastal flood. One of the problem is you got this full moon on Wednesday. Peak tides are on Friday. If it comes in faster, I'm thinking there'll be one high tide cycle that you could see some moderate coastal flooding.
Right.
If it holds off till Saturday, then you're at least another 12 hours away from the peak full moon and the peak tide, so that maybe it'll be minor to moderate. The good thing is, Joe, that we're not dealing with a northeast fetch of wind for days and days where the water's been already piling on. This is going to wait until Friday before the wind starts to turn to the northeast and then really pick up after that. So that's at least one saving grace. So let's say maybe moderate coastal flooding, but I don't think it should be more than that. And you know your area, Frank, a lot better than certainly a lot better than I do.
This is not who
it's not. No, it's the other Craig Allen. This is Craig Allen from works. Craig, you still at New Jersey 101.5 radio? No, you're not. You're in Baltimore now. But this is another Craig Allen.
Okay.
Last year, 2 big storms because his Halloween decorations blew away. They were big thunderstorms. But yeah, this time of year tends to be. You see a lot of volatility from the latter part of October into the first part of December. And it makes sense, too, because if you look at the normal temperatures, if you just look at the plot of average temperatures, they take their biggest drop between now and the middle part of December in terms of losing a degree every 3 days. That's a big atmospheric change.
And also October in this part of the country, the clearest month of the year, and yet no sooner do we go out of October into November, everything rapidly heads toward cloud-filled skies. It's quite amazing, the difference between October and November. And obviously there must be some sort of catalyst, some sort of boundary zone that we cross over to go from clear to cloudy. And in the process we get this active weather pattern, and it seems always to come in the final week of October.
Fright Fest. A rain out this weekend. I know a few people were talking to me about the fact that there's a lot of stuff going on this weekend going into Halloween. Some guys want to get into some fishing this weekend, taking the boat out. That ain't happening.
No.
Let's see. Let's see. Jim Moore wants snow, so it gives him reasons to go to Florida.
Go to Maine.
I get it. Go to Maine, and then you can go to Florida.
Yeah.
So because Maine will have get there 4 to 8. Janet Forbes Dunn, which, by the way, Janet, it was nice to see you the other night over at the Springfield Library. New dunes should help if you're near where the replenishment is. That area did better during Sandy than the Bay did. Okay, very good to know.
By the way, you mentioned the possibility of another talk. Is that still up in the air?
Yeah, I thought I was going to have that worked out today. I'm trying to set up another library appearance on Wednesday, the 7th of November, in Bayonne, New Jersey, in the Bayonne Library, but it's not written in stone yet. I'm waiting for them to get back to me.
Okay.
I wasn't going to say anything, and then I said something on my YouTube channel, so I might as well say something. It's not like some huge secret here for those those secret library talks that I do. Is the energy from the hurricane in Mexico. Some of the moisture is going to get absorbed by the low that's developing in the Gulf. I don't really think it's that hugely important here. It's not like we're getting a remnant low that's going to rejuvenate into a tropical system. That's not happening.
No.
But it's the remnant moisture, and that might perhaps increase the rainfall output by, I'm thinking, maybe about 40 or 50%. So I'm thinking this could be something that produces a 1 to 2 inch rainfall for most places, and maybe some local amounts will be a little bit higher. I don't think it's going to be more than that.
This is going to be the 3rd consecutive Saturday, though, that we've had to deal with, unsettled and wet weather. We had a rather wet day Saturday a couple of weeks ago. This Saturday, if memory serves me, we didn't really have a great day either, and now all of a sudden we're looking at a potential coastal storm and wind and rain on Saturday of next weekend. So
Jim Moore, there's only 1 P in stripers. Otherwise, you're saying that strippers are running good now. Okay, just so you know, stripers. There you go. You fixed it. We still got the laugh out of it. Any chance the storm slows to a crawl? That's kind of what the GFS implies. And it's really not a deep storm here. We're talking about a low that gets down to maybe 1,000 millibars or a little bit less. It's really the interaction with the big high up in Maine, the pressure gradient very tight. for a good 12 hours at least, and that's probably going to produce some gusts at the immediate coast. Okay, not inland, but at the immediate coast, might see some gusts of 40 or maybe even 50. The East End, for example, parts of coastal New Jersey. You go inland, it'll be breezy, but it'll be a lot less.
Yeah.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine. I think we're going to have all kinds of advisories, coastal advisories for both New Jersey and also out across Long Island. Stay tuned.
All right, the coastal flooding issues, Ryan Hastava. Again, it depends on, it really depends on whether it comes in early or comes in later. If it comes in early, the coastal flooding might be a bit more Friday night into Saturday morning. If the system holds off for about 12 hours, then the flooding might be a bit less. But the risk is going to be there either way.
I'm just looking here.
Jeanette Myers, my response to you is why?
Do you think the weather will clear up somewhat on Sunday afternoon? My husband and my daughter will go to the Giant game. You are a glutton for punishment, my dear. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. But I'll help you out. It depends. Again, if it
I'm
depends.
Tell you, I don't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead.
You want to know why the Giants are having such a lousy season? It's because we used to do the weather on the big scoreboard, the big jumbotron, and I believe you and I
did the show. They got their first win last year. The day I did the jumbotron last year.
Right.
Yes, we're not doing the jumbotron this year.
And they got a win. They got a win when I did New Year's Eve, which was a bitter, frigidly cold day, but it was my one and only time on the jumbotron, and they won. So you see, what they need is to have the two Joes do the weather forecast prior to and during the course of the game, and that we are their good luck charm.
Apparently. Well, look! I got my giant blue on, and if I knew we were going to talk about this, I'd take my oversized giant cap that's in my car and wear it for this. But it's I can't.
But that's the way it goes.
They're 1 in 5 now, or 1 in 6.
1 in 6. Oh. So.
Jesus.
And she's going on Sunday, and that's why I say glutton for punishment. But if you're a fan, you stay with them, whether or not they are going down or way up.
Well, I mean, Jet fans know, with the long-standing suffering,
emphasize that word "long."
Yes.
50 years since the Super Bowl,
and still waiting. And actually, they're playing pretty well so far this year.
Well, 3 and 4.
That's better than 1 and 6.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, we're getting close to the top of the hour, so I guess we'll wrap it up here, folks. I've got some more stuff going on weather-wise on on the Patreon platform, so do check it out. There's a link at the top of the descriptor to this video, and I will put one on here on the chat. Give it a look. There's some stuff there that everybody can access, and take a look at it. It's a fun place to be. Exclusive videos just for Patreon members and exclusive posts just for Patreon members also. And it'll come in handy during the winter time when it comes to snowfall. Oh, gee, it's Joe Choppy. There we go. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. And I've got some website posts up on meteorologistjoechaffee.com, and my buddy Ben has got New York City covered on nycweathernow.com.
And we've got some good wind gusts tomorrow, blustery winds at least.
Yeah, tomorrow's going to be kind of breezy, and behind that storm that's bringing snow to Maine.
And probably the coldest weather yet come Thursday night and early Friday morning here in the...
I think I think just about everybody except maybe the warmest spots in New York City and around Newark and Jersey City should get to 32 or less.
Yeah.
I actually, I think the model guidance for temperatures has just been awful. It's been too high. It certainly ran too high over the weekend and yesterday. So I just kind of backed the numbers down, and I'm thinking, it may barely get back to 50 on Thursday, and maybe not out of the 40s on Friday, particularly if clouds are coming in.
Absolutely. You think, I was thinking like yesterday that Friday could actually be one of those beautiful, pristine blue skies, I think, but the way things are turning out now, it looks like we could get thin, high clouds first thing in the morning on Friday, rapidly increasing and thickening up during the course of the day. We may lose the sun completely behind a thickening deck of cloud cover midday and afternoon on Friday, and that'll make it all the chillier out there. And that's what's got me concerned for Friday night and Saturday, Joe, because if that moisture manages to come in quick enough, you know, some of the high terrain up in parts of the Hudson Valley.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, if it comes in fast, the dam actually showed that earlier today because it came in even faster, and it showed some snow on the some wet snow on the northern fringe, but it slowed it down a bit on the last run. So, well, you know, we'll see. If it comes in a rush, believe it or not, it would probably be cold enough. You know, well north and west in elevated areas before everybody, you know, starts thinking that we're saying something else. So that's pretty much it. I just thought of something else that I wanted to say here at the end, but that too now has escaped my mind. So I'm having oh, now I remember. So at least, by the way, if we have this situation 2 weeks from now, we're going to be in standard time. So will we actually be able to live stream and live blog the NAM as it's coming out? And
yes.
That's helpful. When you're doing a live stream at 9 o'clock, you get the NAM is the first model to come out, you know, during each series. So it's going to be coming out at a reasonable time now. We'll have it during this show so we can watch it.
You realize now that because of the machinations of the politicos in Washington, D.C., that we're only on standard time now 4 out of the 12 months of the year.
Yeah.
And we have to wait now until November to go back on standard time. But I agree with you, because now that we go back on standard time, all of our useful data comes in a whole hour earlier. And that's going to be wonderful, and we will be able to share with you some of the early data.
And apparently, by the way, it's the farmers don't like it. It's the retail. The retail industry wants to keep us in daylight time for as long as we can.
It's crazy, and you know the funny thing.
It's got to go. Let's just keep it standard time year round. What difference does it make? You know, what difference does it make?
At the end of the winter, people say, "Oh boy, we're going back on daylight saving time. We're going to have nice bright afternoons and whatever like that." But then look at this: when we get back to standard time, those same people say, "Oh, thank God, I get an extra hour's sleep." Now, nobody's happy.
No.
Just stop fiddling and finagling with the time and just keep it on standard time all through the course of the year. That's my...
Or either that, or let's all go to Greenwich Mean Time.
Do you know that in China, this is weird, in China, China's a pretty big one time zone for the whole country.
Well, the whole time zone thing was constructed for railroads back in the 1800s, so that they could, have some sense of where, when trains were arriving and leaving. So that's how the time zone construct happened. Yeah, look, it's just a number, so you just get used to whatever it is you get used to. But we've been so mentally programmed in terms of the clock and how it works. It'll take one generation will have to suffer through it, and they just go to Greenwich time. And for us, that's what we've done for 40 years. Right. So we live on Greenwich time.
Absolutely.
All right, have a great night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. Brian and Jeffrey on Fios One News in the morning.
And Addison and Brittany in the midday hours, and then we come strolling in the mid-afternoon and provide you with weather into the evening hours here.
And we'll be back tomorrow night around 9:15 for Wednesday night's Joe and Joe weather show, and hopefully by then we'll have some clarity. Bye.
Happy hump day.